everyone, it's Elizabeth, and today I'm doing a review of Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is my second time recording this. Somehow the video editor messed up, and then the video was like 4 hours long because it just kept repeating. I don't know, it was weird, but I'm recording this again. I read this partially because the cover art was so beautiful. And unfortunately, my university library is stupid, and they purposely take the dust jackets off. This is not a book that I would usually read. I don't usually read YA or science fiction, so YA science fiction is definitely something that I don't really read that often, but I was really attracted to the cover, and everyone here on YouTube had really awesome things to say about this book, so I wanted to read it anyway. I was reading it on my tablet, but it kind of seemed like some of the pages were missing, so I got it from the library. I definitely enjoyed this book. It's entertaining. It doesn't seem very deep to me, and it doesn't seem like literature. It's just fiction to me, and that's just my opinion. And I liked it, but it's not something I would aspire to, if that makes sense. With the style, it kind of read like an undergraduate manuscript, and I mean, the author's only 29, so you know, but I mean, I don't mean that to sound really harsh that it's kind of like an undergraduate manuscript. I just mean that there's a lot of things that, you know, we're taught to avoid in here, like story talk, which is verbs or descriptions that kind of signal to the reader that this is fiction. And there's a lot of that in this book. Like, she says a lot, like she bristled, or she raised her hackles, or stuff like that. It's like real people don't really do those things, so it's kind of distracting to read that. I just feel like it needed to be edited one more time. But I thought the retelling of Cinderella was really interesting, what she chose to keep and what she chose to depart from the original story. She kept the pumpkin coach and the shoe and the stepsisters and the evil stepmother and things like that. But then the overall plot, it's definitely pretty much unrelated to the original Cinderella story, but I just thought it was a really cool idea. And I know that right now there's a lot of kind of retellings of fairy tales out right now. I think Cinder is the only one that I've read, actually. And something that I didn't really like about this was that some of the chapters were from the point of view of characters other than Cinder, and I felt like those chapters didn't really serve character at all. I feel like those chapters were only to serve the plot, and they just gave readers information that we couldn't have gotten from Cinder. So I feel like the novel wouldn't suffer if those were taken out, but it also doesn't really suffer from them being left in. Plot and world building in this novel kind of go hand in hand, and I feel like world building was a little bit lacking. In this society, cyborgs are considered subhuman, and I didn't really understand the point of making people cyborgs if they were going to then be considered subhuman. Like, maybe if Meyer had included information like people with missing limbs might be considered lower than cyborgs, or why people don't choose like the non-robotic prosthetics that we have today, like why don't people choose those over cyborg limbs. So I just didn't really understand the point of making people cyborgs if they were then going to be considered subhuman. Yeah, and I thought predictability in the plot was kind of a big problem. As soon as they mentioned like major elements of the plot early on, like the plague, and I'm trying to say it without spoiling it. There's a person that they're looking for, and they just mention this person. So as soon as they mention the plague and this person that they're looking for, I pretty much knew what was going to happen with them. And I mean, sometimes being able to predict something is okay, but I felt like with this it was so obvious that I was kind of half and half on the characters. I really liked Cinder. I think she's a really genuine person. She wants to be strong, and she is strong, but then the things that she wants to do, she can't really do them because of her status as a cyborg, and I felt like her struggle with her identity and her place in society as a cyborg was a really genuine struggle, and I really felt for her. Prince Kai, on the other hand, I kind of felt like he was a pretty flat character. I felt like he mostly served the plot. The decisions that he struggled with weren't really decisions. He could choose one thing and the world would go to shit, or he could not do that. Like, and that doesn't really seem like that big of a decision to me. I felt like he mostly served plot and that he wasn't as deep of a character as perhaps the author intended him to be. And I'm usually pretty against claiming to know what the author intended, but that's just my gut feeling on Prince Kai. One of Cinder's, she only has 2 stepsisters in this book, and I think there's 3 in the original Cinderella story. But in this story she has 2, and one hates her and one is kind of her friend. And the one who's her friend is named Peony, and she is probably one of my favorite characters in the story. She's really sweet and she accepts Cinder as her sister even though she is a cyborg, and even though her mother really hates Cinder and she blames her for her father's death and their financial situation. She blames everything on Cinder, but Peony still loves her. And I felt like that was really sweet and endearing. So I know that this review sounded really negative, but I promise I did enjoy this book. I just wouldn't really consider it literature or something that I would aspire to as a writer. I believe I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. I think I might have been a little generous with that. I think maybe I should have given it only 3. But I did like this book, and I'm reading Scarlet now, and I'm really liking Scarlet, so I will do a review on that one when I'm done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below if you've read this book and what you thought. Please take a second to comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.